Okay, we left off over here. We're on Samo Zayin with Vase. Start from here. Ki Osa Rovin, Rabbi Yochanan. When Rovin had come, he said her name Rabbi Yochanan. Be'umos holach achar hazocher. Among Jews, how do you identify the pedigree or the nationality of a non-Jew? It's based on the male. Whatever the paternal line is, that's exactly how the person is identified. Nizgairu. But if they convert, holach achar apogum. Wherever the defect, the spiritual defect lies, the child identifies whoever has that defect, the transfer. Shebishneim, between the two of them. So even if the mother has the defect, Ger marries a mamzeres. Correct? So the mamzeres transfers over to the child. My bumas holach achar hazocher. How do we know that before the conversion that the nationality identifies with the male, not with the mother? Kiddushin. How do we know that if a person of another nationality comes upon one of the 7 nations of Canaan? Rashi says, I explained yesterday, it's just a generic term, Canaani. All the 7 nations are classified as Canaani. V'holid ben shato rashoy liknos be'evid, that you're permitted to buy that child as a slave. Talmud lomer v'gam ne'ato shovim hagor mimochem, the citizens who are living among you, mehem tiknu. You're able to purchase a slave. That means somebody had come from elsewhere, not a member of the 7 tribes of Canaan, impregnated one of the women of Canaan, and they had a child. So for them you could buy. To buy a slave from elsewhere, it's understood. But even if one of the woman is one of the Canaanite nations, you're permitted to buy as long as the father is not from the nations of Canaan. Yochol af, you have to go in the brackets, HaKanani sheboal al hashivcho mina umos v'holid ben shata rashoy l'knosa be'evid. Maybe if, as long as any of the parents are from another nationality, it would be sufficient. So if the mother is not a Canaanis, she's not from the 7 nations, maybe also the child would be permitted. Talmud lomar asher holidu ba'artzachem min al-noladim ba'artzachem v'lo min hagorim ba'artzachem. If they were born there, then it's fine. But if they live there, it's their location, then not. Let's see the Rashi. Rashi explains it very well. One of the nationalities of the world, not from the nations of Eretz Yisrael. There's a Torah halacha, luschai kol neshama. Shebola knani shi yehei bechlal luschaya. Vuadin lechivis ulivusis. When it says Cananis, it's not specifically Cananis, but if somebody came upon a woman who was a chivi or yivusi, el shekulim dekram al shem Canaan dichsiv Eretz Canaan. It's called land of Canaan. So we see it's land of Canaan, even though Canaan was one of the children of Chom. The child identifies with the male, and therefore you're permitted to leave them alive. Talmud Loma, Toshovim, like I mentioned yesterday. Let's say you have an Amaleki. A woman is Amalekis, so it says, Bochutimcha, Zecher Amalek. There's mitzvah to annihilate them. And the male is from another nationality. The wife is an Amalekis, and the male is from another nationality. The child is not Amaleki, although his mother is a descendant of Amalek. Right? Because we say before conversion, how do you identify the person? It's based on the paternal line, not the maternal line. It's not fathers, no. But then for sure. I mean, if you're from a member of Canaan, you had to be annihilated from the nation. So if a person came and took a wife from one of the nations of Canaan, it's not his child identifies with him, not with his wife. What does it say for? It says, your male or female slave that you have from the nations, asher sivosechem, she'enon mizayin umos, mehem tiknu, evid voma. Other nationalities, you're permitted to buy a slave, male or female. The samachle, then it continues, it juxtaposes. V'gam ne'ato shavim. Klomer, lo mishar umos levadom. Here, not only if both the parentage from both the male and females from another nation, can you buy the male or female slave, even from if one of the parents, lo mishar umos she'ein bohem mi'irbuv shevums ela'af mibneim. Even if there's an intermingling of pedigrees. Shemolidimosam toshav, meaning a person that had come from elsewhere and had taken a wife from one of the nations, and they father children from the women who are Canaanios. You're permitted to purchase the slave from there, meaning the law of Los Chaim Neshama, Kol Neshama, doesn't apply to them. The women, the mothers, are from the land, but the fathers from the gorim b'artzachem. Shelidu b'nei artzachem b'mekomos acherim. What about a Canaanite one elsewhere, and fathered a child from a woman who was from another nationality? B'meno sharumos ubo habonim logur kan eitz lavosam. Now the children of those parents, the Canaanite, went and impregnated someone from elsewhere. Okay, now it's interesting, the father. Now what's interesting is a Sefarno by the Meraglim. He says that if not for the Chet Meraglim, there would not be a halacha of Los Chai Kol Neshama. That's what he says. Why? He says, why does the Torah say you cannot allow any member of these 7 nations to remain alive? Because what they represent evil. They're a representation they're a personification of evil, therefore they have to be annihilated, wherever they are. Even if they move elsewhere, you have to annihilate them. So he says, why? He says, because if we would have gone in immediately, regardless of their behavior being abominable, they didn't reach that point, the critical point, where they couldn't be rehabilitated. But because we were delayed for 40 years in the Midbar, and they continued to sin for another 40 years, they arrived at a level of corruption, they couldn't be rehabilitated anymore. Therefore, there's a law of those chai kol neshama. Therefore, they have to be annihilated. It's a Sefarno's approach, that we have mitzvahs that, because of certain events, that's why the mitzvah came about. But if not for the event, there wouldn't be a mitzvah. So it's interesting. We wouldn't have shasa. That losase, los chai kol neshama, would not be part of the Torah. He said the same thing last week's parsha regarding the mitzvah challah. David's the expert in Sefarno. The mitzvah of challah, right? It's right after. Also, it's after the story of the Meraglim. He says that until the Meraglim, we were worthy of bracha. We were worthy of bracha. Because of the Chet Meraglim, we were not worthy of bracha. So therefore, we have to have a reason to be worthy of bracha. What's the bracha? What's the worthiness? So he cites a pasuk from the Navi that when you tithe your dough, that will bring bracha into your homes. But until then, it wasn't necessary to have a mitzvah of challah. Because we ourselves in our own right were worthy of bracha. But when we failed with the Meraglim, we're no longer worthy, we have to have a basis for that worthiness. Therefore, HaKadosh Baruch Hu introduced the mitzvah of challah. Okay? Correct. Okay? Sefarno's not saying it was an emotional issue. You know, he says factually, they're not worthy. And they need he says the same thing. Before the Chet Meraglim, a korban yochid, a private korban, when you bring, it was not accompanied with a mincha and a sochim. The meal offering was only a korban tzibur. Afterwards, even a korban yochid, even a private korban needs mincha and a sochim when you bring it. Needs a meal offering and needs libations. Why? Because until then, the korban was sufficient to bring about what it was meant to bring about. Now that the person has regressed to such a degree, the korban itself, the animal is not sufficient. This is look, forever. I mean, it says, because we cried, B'chi shel chinom, it was a baseless crying. Therefore, Hashem says, you're going to have what to cry about. To do korbanos. The Churban Bayis Rishon Sheni came because of that. The Meraglim was Tisha B'Av night, and all the tragedies till the end of time is Tisha B'Av. That's when they're going to manifest themselves. Same idea. So we haven't yet recovered from it. No. Shlomim. And Ola. No. That's why the mitzvah is given to the woman. Because it says, He timo chalosa shel olam, therefore she has to reinstate the challah. Look, everything was meant to happen. Okay? It says this. Could be yes, could be not. Look, the Gemara says the end of Makos. We have a number of people who are experts on Makos here. It says Torah is Gematria what? Alex. You just figure out the Gematria. The Gemara says, and then we heard the two. 1 6:11 plus 2 is 6:13. So you have Torah and that's 6:13. So evidently, initially, it was meant to be 6:13. How it would have manifested itself? Because there are many things, you have a machlos the Rambam and the Ramban in terms of minyan mitzvahs. How do you count mitzvahs? So they would have been counted differently. It's like Tosa says in Klal Godel, in Shabbos, that we have lamates melochos. How do we come up with lamates? Right? So it's based on the posuk. Eila hadvorim. It comes out over there because factually we have toldus and we have ovos. And we have certain malachos which seem to be almost identical. You have Meraked and you have Borer. Right? It's separating the essential from the non-essential, but it's different stages. Do you count them as separate malachos? Do you count them as the same malacha? And you have subcategories of malachos. Is that a separate malacha or is that a tolda? Is that a derivative of the malacha? Right? Certain things. Give you an example. You have zoreya, and you have notea, right? Planting a seed or putting a shrub in the ground, a sapling in the ground. It's the same malacha. That counted as two malachos. One's a seed and the other's a sapling. No, the same punishment. The same, you violate the same malacha. What zomer? What's zomer? Pruning. Pruning is what? That's zoreya. When you prune a tree, you enhance its growth. What's zomer? Zomer is the av. It's not a tova. Okay. Let's go further. No, it's asher holidu b'artzchem. Hanoladim b'artzchem v'lu min hagorim b'artzchem. Nizgaru holech achar apogim sheb'shneim. If they both convert, each two non-Jews convert to be Jews. Each one has a different defect, spiritual defect. B'mai ilem of mitzri shenos amonis. If an Egyptian marries an Ammonis, her pedigree is Ammoni. His pedigree is Mitzri. So Mitzri, he has to wait for the third generation. Somebody says, my pogmiko, right? That's not a defect. The Ammonis is not a defect for a woman. Because there says Ammoni v'lo Ammonis. Ammoni v'lo Ammonis. So that can't be the case where they both carry a defect, a spiritual defect. Elo, ba'Ammoni shenosa Mitzris. He's an Ammoni, and he marries an Egyptian woman. Okay? Let's say they have a child that's a male. So, Shadja Basrei, Didei. So what classification does the son assume? He's an Ammoni. because that's his pedigree. Vim de Keva Havyo. What about if they have a daughter? Being an Ammonis is not a problem, right? She's a legitimate Jew. She's permitted to marry. But what is the mother? The mother's a Mitzris. So let's say the mother is a first-generation convert. So what is, and we say that the defect carries over, so the daughter's a second-generation Mitzris. Shadja Basra Dido. So that transfers from the mother onto the daughter. So the Pagam Shebishneim, wherever the Pagam lies, if it could transfer, it's going to transfer, whether it's the paternal or the maternal line. Okay? It's not relevant. If let's say you have, let's say it's a male, and the father was Namoni. Lo Yavam Amoni B'Kal Hashem, finished. A Mitzri has the third generation. Once you're an Ammoni, you're tagged with that, it's over. You're illegitimate forever. And your whole line is illegitimate if they're males. Correct? So the Mitzri has no relevance to this person. The child, so it depends if it's a male or a female. A father is an Ammoni, the mother is a Mitzri. Now they have a daughter. So she's an Ammonis. Ammonis is a kosher Jew. She's a Mitzri Sheni. So their child would be permitted. As a Shlishi would be permitted, right? They don't all get absorbed. Depends. If you have a continuous male line, they're all forbidden. What do you mean male line? Yeah, but but let's say he has a male. If they're only daughters, but if he has a son, that continues. No, not until there's a daughter. An Ammoni has a son and a daughter. The daughter is permitted immediately. That son, his male line will never be permitted. You know, if George Washington's horse, if the wagon had whatever it is, you know, okay, it's irrelevant. Okay, you know something. You know, like they say, you know, if your grandmother had wheels, she'd be a wagon. Okay, I mean that's what you're talking about over here. You understand? Kosher in law of kiddushin. What about if your situation, this particular union, you can add up kiddushin, ancestral relationship, right? So they themselves, if they marry another spouse, right, the kiddushin would be kiddushin. But in this particular context, there's no kiddushin. So the Mishnah says havlad mamzer. The child's a mamzer. Minohani mili. Omer Reb Chia bar Abba, Omer Reb Yochanan, Umotu Bo Bishum Reb Yanai. Reb Chia says the name of Reb Abba says Reb Yochanan, and some say it emanates from Reb Yanai. Ravacha Brei, the Rav Omar Motu Umotu Bishum Reb Yosei Aglili. It's a tribute to Reb Yosei Aglili. The question: Is it Reb Yanai or is it Reb Yosei? The Omar Kro. It says V'yotzim Beiso. The Torah says a woman's married, she's divorced. And she goes and marries an ish acher. She could have said, she's divorced from one, she married an ish. What's acher? What is the connotation of acher? She's only permitted, marriage is only if it's a person's not related to her, but if it's related, it's not a valid marriage. Maybe it means the only relationship where the marriage is not a marriage only if it's a what? If it's a male, if it's a son. Because a son is the closest relationship. But any other relationship, like a sibling with a sibling, maybe the marriage is a marriage. Dichsiv, so Gemara says, Ben behejuk sivvei. It says explicitly, Lo yikach ish es eishes oviv. Za'ache lomali. Right? The Torah says, Lo yikach ish es eishes oviv. A man cannot marry his father's wife. That's a ben. So what do we need acher? Shema mino lacher v'lo l'krovim. The answer is it's coming to say any incestuous relationship with Torah is forbidden. The marriage is not a marriage. Gemara says, "Ein ve'edi ve'edi leben." No, I'll tell you, I have lo yikach ish es eishes oviv, and I still need acher because I'd say they're both addressing the son. Holechatchilo di'evid. Meaning, when the Torah says lo yikach ish es eishes oviv, it's a lav. It's not permitted, but factually, if he does it, the marriage maybe will be effective. It'll be effective marriage. So we have acher to tell me no, that unless it's acher, the marriage is not a marriage. So therefore, I need both psukim. I need the lo yikach, I need the acher. So Rashi himself explains that right now we're speaking about that there's no tefisas kiddushin. That the child's a mamzer, we know is a mamzer from any of these relationships, because Rashi cites the posuk over here. Menani mili, it's the fourth line in Rashi, the end of the third line. Menon de kedushin tosim chayvi krisus. We want to know, how do we know that if a person marries a woman which carries liability of Korach, how do we know the marriage is not a marriage? Aval avlad mamzer nafkalam lo yikach ish es eishes oviv. It says a person is not permitted to marry the wife of his father. V'lo yigal knaf oviv v'samach le lo yav mamzer. Right? The Torah juxtaposes immediately after it says lo yikach ish es eishes oviv. With the gal kanaf oviv, it says lo yava mamzer. So it's clear. What is the result of that union? Mamzer. But the Gemara still says, but maybe this tefisas kiddushin. You're able to create a mamzer even with this tefisas kiddushin. Mulab yivamis, and what's the case? V'shemeres yovam shel, because we're asking by Koris. V'shemeres yovam shel oviv shu eishes achi oviv. Hear what's happening? When it says lo yikach ish es eishes oviv v'lo yigal kanaf oviv, it's not speaking the father's wife, because that carries the death penalty. The Gemara's question is, how do I know a chayvi krisus, where it has a liability to Korach, there's no tefisas kiddushin? Mises Bezdin is much more serious. So I'll say there, maybe over there's no, you cannot marry. The marriage is not a marriage. But maybe chayvi krisus, which is not as serious as Mises Bezdin, maybe if you marry that woman, maybe there is a marriage. Okay? And he says, mamzer is not the question, because it juxtaposes to that. He says, lo yava mamzer b'kal Hashem. So the product of the union is what? Is mamzer. But maybe the marriage is a marriage. He says, but if it's eishes oviv, it's Mrs. Bezdin. He says, no. So the mercies in Yevomis was speaking about it's shomeres yovim shel oviv. Meaning it was his uncle's wife. A person who engages with an aunt is what? That's Korach. Now the uncle dies, the wife, the widow falls to his father. So there's an attachment to the father. So if that's the case, what are we speaking about? It's Korach. Because the father didn't perform Yibum yet. This is pre-Yibum. There's just the attachment. No, because there's an attachment out to the father. It's not just the aunt. It's an attachment to the father. This is pre-Yibum, right? She eishes achi oviv, shehi b'koris. So it's really the aunt, it's the wife of the uncle, which is Korach, and now it's attached to the father. So she's a woman in waiting to see whether the father will terminate the relationship or act on it. Okay? Mochi alfin b'yivons perka choletz, the chol she'ein lo olav kiddushin have lan mamzer. And from here we learn that if one is not the kiddushin has no relevance, is not applicable, the product of that union is mamzer. Yes, remains. It's all based on psukim. It's like kalosa, a daughter-in-law. A daughter-in-law is not only when she's married to the son, unless she's widowed, she's divorced. That woman is always forbidden to the father-in-law. Can never marry. Eishes ach. Upon divorce or death, if they're children, never. That's incestuous relationship. No, but the question is, he's not permitted, but maybe if he does it, maybe the marriage is a marriage. Why not? It's like any. What about? No. It's no Kohen marries a grusha. Why? It's a lav. It's a lav. No, maybe I'd say it's only a lav. A lav, just as a lav which has the liability of malchus, the marriage is a marriage. Maybe a lav that has the liability of koris, the marriage is also marriage. Maybe. How do you know that? Why not? Why not? Why not? Why not? No. No, that's death penalty. Where it's a death penalty, it's understood. No. Death penalty, we're speaking about koris. Koris is a lesser liability than death penalty. A married woman, it's not a consideration. A mother, it's not a consideration. Or the father of the wife, which is not necessarily his mother, right? Also, not a consideration. But maybe koris, which is a lesser degree. Maybe there is a marriage. Maybe the marriage is effective, although he's in violation. And that's what Gemara says. I have two psukim. Kan lechatchila, kan b'di'evet. Maybe it's not permitted, but if one did, he crossed the line, maybe the marriage is a marriage. We have acher, no, the marriage is not a marriage whatsoever. No, not necessarily. An aunt, a mother's sister. A mother's sister. No, it's not. Mother's sister is an aunt. It's not permitted. Well, let's say, again, it's your uncle's wife. Your uncle's wife. The wife is not a blood relation. It's koris. Koris.
And the mother's
sister's also koris. It's also koris. The things which we call shnios, certain things are not. It's not simple. It's machlokes tanoim. That was pre-Sinai. That was pre-Sinai. No. That's a Torah violation. Torah violation. Torah violation. Okay. We'll learn Yavamas. I think we're going to learn Gittin before Yavamas. Okay. Yeah, it's his aunt. His aunt who was widowed from the uncle, who's now attached to the father. Right. But why refer to as Ashes Oviv? Lo Yigala, it's right. See, the Gemara explains because the widow was attached to his father. Yibum hasn't yet taken place yet. Okay, let's go further. So the Gemara says, I need the psukim because I'd say maybe hol lachatchil ho b'di'evet. So the Gemara says lachatchil me'achosisha nafka. No. That you're not permitted to marry, I learned that from achosisha. The sister of one's wife. Uma achos isha b'koreis lo sekadesh. Chaviv misas bezdin lo koshkein. Right? If the Torah said koreis, the kiddushin is not a kiddushin. Says misas bezdin, a question. It's a koshkein. One second. Right? This has nothing to do with Einon Shemin Adin. Right? For two reasons. It's not. Maybe yes, maybe not. It's not because in terms of liability, the liability is explicit in Torah. Whether it's koreis, whether it's misas bezdin. Koreis is malchus, misas bezdin is not malchus. Okay? We're talking about prohibition. If you marry the woman, is the marriage a marriage? The shnita get. So saying if koreis, we say the marriage is not effective, and the liability of koreis is to a lesser degree. So if it's misas bezdin, which is a more advanced level of yisur, there's no question. So we're asked, right? Maybe it's only the liability of koreis by achosisha. Why? How do we know other rayos? Maybe it's only the koreis of achosisha. You cannot marry, if you want to marry the sister of your wife, it's not a valid marriage. But maybe other arayos, other forbidden relationships, it says maybe if you marry them, maybe it is valid. The Gemara says no, yalfin ma'achosisha. What we call a memotzino. I learned one from the other. Ma'achosisha miyuchede shi ervo. V'chayoven alus dona koreis, val shigos achatos. If a person deliberately, intentionally has relations with an achosisha, the liability is koreis, inadvertent, it's chatos. V'lo tafsi bo kiddushin, and if you should attempt to marry that woman, we're saying we have, based on psukim, the marriage is not a marriage. Afkol she yervo, the chayoven as don. Of course, she goes to chatro tavsi bo kiddushin. So that's the memotzino. As I find the one, I apply to the other because it seems to be they're all the same. Sumar says, Bishlam kulo asyon. All others that have the same liability of Korach, you're able to learn from Machus Isha, Eleishis Ish, Beishis Ach, Ikon Mifrach. Maybe that not. If a person wants to marry an Eishis Ish, yeah, Eishis Ish and Eishis Ach, you're able to differentiate. Now, Eishis Ish is a little bit difficult. Yeah. You know, if I purchase something and it's mine, or I acquire something which is ownerless, and I don't relinquish my ownership, somebody else wants to acquire it, could he acquire it? Can't acquire it, right? There's not even consideration, because the person fully owns it. So if a man marries a woman, so that means she's married to this person. Now another person comes and wants to marry her. Is there a consideration that the second marriage is married? She's fully married to Reuven. She's fully married to Reuven. How could she be married to Shimon? No, forget about stealing. No. She's fully acquired, right? The others, it's the incestuous relationship, marrying a brother, a sibling, or whatever, an aunt, whatever it may be. We're not speaking she's an Eishis Ish. But Eishis Ish, I mean, it's not even the consideration, right? She's been acquired. Eishis Ach, I hear. Eishis Ach was speaking, she's widowed or she's divorced. Okay, that's Eishis Ach. She's not free to anyone. But yet, the Gemara says, no, maybe you marry an Eishis Ish, maybe it should be a valid marriage. Maybe there's a tefisas kiddushin. No, it's not. It meaning she needs a get. Right. It's Korach. Eishis Ach is lav sheish bo Korach. Of course. No, we're not talking about this. He forced to eat something else. She's permitted. It's a mitzvah. Talking about regular Eishis Ach, whether she has children or she's been divorced from the brother. Okay. So what do you have to say? The Eishis Ish, how do you know a woman can be married to two men? Right? We're not talking about it's an acquisition of an object. If I acquire something fully, so I'm the full owner, somebody else can't own it. How do you know a woman can be married to two men? Right? Maybe it's l'chatchila. No, maybe she's married to multiple. Multiple men are able to have an interest in her. We had earlier. A person says the marriage should take place in 30 days. And the other one says from now in 10 days. Right? So we say she's not permitted to any of the women, to any of the husbands. Because each one, when their act of marriage took effect, she wasn't a full Eishis Ish at the time. I mean, that's what you have to say, because otherwise what's even the basis? Here? There's Achos Isha under no circumstances she's permitted. There's no mitzvah. We find a certain context where she's permitted to marry. As long as the wife is alive, the sister's never permitted. If the husband chooses to divorce her, right, she's permitted. So how do we know Eishis Ach and Eishis Ish that if somebody would go and marry them, that the marriage is not valid? To be continued.